We are pleased and honored to have U.S. Senator, Nebraska Cattlemen member Deb Fischer here today to talk to us about something very near and dear to all of us, is the Real Meat Act. So, Senator, thanks for being here.
It is great to be here. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah. So I think the importance of this that our members need to know about is we're all threatened by what's going on with the alternative meats, but your introduction of this is terrific. And I think the thing that we're proud of, number one, you're a member of NC and NCBA. You have been long-term members. Thank you very much. I'm also very proud, as it would have been 8 years ago, our board of directors voted to support you, the first organization in your attempts to become a U.S. Senator. And so,
which I thank you for. You
yeah.
know, that was a big deal. That Nebraska Cattlemen and all my friends around the state, they stepped forward, and you are a big part of the reason the NC and also cattlemen all around the state, you're a big part of the reason I'm in the United States Senate.
And we're proud of that. Thank you.
I want to thank you again.
One thing that I'm always impressed when we visit, when you come back home, is you talk about what's really getting done in D.C. as opposed to what the media is portraying. Please speak to that.
I think it's really important to give a positive message out. And as I travel the state just about every single weekend when I'm back and have town halls, meet with different community groups, tour schools, whatever it may be, I like to talk about positive things that are happening. And in the United States Senate, we're getting things done. As you know, we passed a farm bill a couple years ago. That was a big deal to be able to get a farm bill passed, get it passed on time. And there's a lot of good things in that bill. We've passed a roads bill, which brought back $1.5 billion to the state of Nebraska. We've passed an education bill, which I was really pleased to have an amendment on that focuses on local control, because as you know, that's a huge value that we have here in Nebraska, is that we think it's definitely important that local communities, parents, teachers, school boards have input into our children's education. We passed 21st Century Cures Act, money for research into different diseases, that we can continue to find cures for those life-threatening diseases. On and on and on and on, that we've been able to accomplish things. But as you know, sometimes the media focuses on the fighting that takes place and those areas where it's not easy for us to agree, because we do represent different states and we do have different political philosophies. But we continue to work together. We continue to get things done, and that's important for Nebraskans to understand that. Whether it's roads or broadband or disaster aid coming to the state, those are things I'm going to continue to fight for and work with colleagues on both sides of the aisle.
That's great, and I think that's the bottom line, is Nebraskans want to know that as an elected official, you're fighting for us, and you're doing that exactly. And speaking of fighting for us, your introduction of the Real Meat Act is important. I think what really drives home the importance of this is your personal connection to this issue and your family. If you could speak to that, that'd be great.
Well, I was raised in Lincoln, and I was lucky to fall in love with a rancher at the University of Nebraska. And Bruce and I have been married 47 years. We have 3 sons. We have a family ranch, cow-calf ranch. And so leaving Lincoln to move to, I call it the center of the cosmos, 30 miles south of Valentine, really was a wonderful opportunity. It's a great way of life. It's a wonderful place to raise a family, and it's a good job that we have in the cattle business.
And I think to protect that job, your introduction of the Real Meat Act is critical, but I think given a backdrop of what the issue means to us, and you're teed up precisely to help us do that. Please speak to that.
I take issue, first of all, with the fact that Nebraska is viewed as flyover country. Much of the center of the United States is viewed as flyover country. We are the heartland of this nation. We are proud of that, and we need to be better messengers about that. Whether it's with food production, whether it's with the great education that we provide our children, whether it's the importance of communities and what we do to maintain strong communities, strong families, that is vital that this country recognizes that. These are priorities, these are values that we hold dear and that are dear to this country. And in order for Nebraska to continue to thrive, we need to promote agriculture. Agriculture is 40% of the economic activity here in the state. It is the economic engine of Nebraska. You hear me say that all the time. Sometimes it's overlooked, but we continually need to message that it's the economic engine of the state of Nebraska. Of that 40%, livestock is 60%. Production agriculture is 40, livestock's 60% of that. We have a $13.8 billion impact on this state. That's just livestock. We have 41,000 jobs directly related to livestock. Let's compare that to the University of Nebraska, which we all love our university system. We know how important it is to the state. The University of Nebraska has a $4.5 billion impact compared to livestock with that 13.8. And 1 in 4 jobs in the state related to agriculture, 1 in 26 from the University of Nebraska. So I introduced the Real Meat Act, not just for the issue itself, but for the larger issue, and that's Nebraska's economy. Because we are the economic engine, we do drive this state. When agriculture suffers, the economy of Nebraska suffers. So we need to make sure that we have laws in place that will continue to recognize the importance of agriculture to the economy of Nebraska and to the economy of this country.
And that's why we're proud, with your help as chair of the Transportation Committee in the legislature, we were able to get the beef state license plate off the ground. So that's important as you see more and more of those around the state.
I just gave you a hard time about that I'm not seeing enough of them. So hopefully people will get out there and get more beef state license plates, because we do have a good message. We have a great message. We should be proud of that and continue to speak about it. We take care of our land. We take care of our water resources. We feed the world. These are such positive things that we have to continue to talk about. I tell you guys when you come to see me all the time, or whether it's Farm Bureau or the commodity groups or Farmers Union, for years I have said, you need to be better messengers. You need to be better messengers. You need to get out there and talk about, your family's living on this land. We're taking care of it. Your family takes care of the water. We produce a healthy, safe product. Because if you don't talk about it, nobody will. And I decided I better step up and talk about it too. So we've got the Real Meat Act.
So you've talked about the motivations that you have, but being on the inside, having a vote, and thus creating this act for consideration by your colleagues. What's in that helps us that you think is important?
What's in the bill?
Yes.
First of all, it's going to give a definition on what beef is, and because we don't really have a definition for that. Next, it's going to hold the FDA, which approves labeling for this fad that we're seeing with plant-based products, to hold them accountable for having imitation on that labeling. Right now, FDA does not support that. When you look at livestock, when you look at the meat that is produced, think of the rigorous inspection that we go through. Think of the rigorous labeling that we go through. That's with USDA. Well, these other products that we're talking about, the fake meat products, they go through FDA, and the labeling isn't as rigorous. When you buy beef, you know what's in it. One ingredient, and that's beef. When you buy that Impossible Burger or the Beyond Burger, there's over 20 ingredients in that. That should be labeled. Consumers demand to know what's in the food they're eating. We've recognized that for years. We have recognized that for years as cattle producers that we need to make sure we have a safe, healthy product. And I think consumers reward us for that. So when you have 80% of the people of this country thinking that this imitation product is the same nutritionally as beef, that's incorrect. You know, beef has more protein, beef has less saturated fat, more zinc, more iron, more B vitamins. We need to make that clear so the consumers can make an informed choice. I'm not here, and you're not here telling people they can't buy what they want. But let's end the confusion. 55% of people right now think that there's beef in these products. You know, let's end the confusion. Let's be honest about labeling. We've done that. We've done that as producers, and we need to make sure that that's across the board, have a level playing field.
To that point, talking about the structure of government, which is important, whether people like government or not, did what FDA not do 20 years ago with milk affect your decision to bring forward the Real Meat Act?
You know, I've of course heard from dairy producers who bring up that issue that they have, and it plays into it. But I think the main issue that we have to remain focused on, and that we've always been aware of, is consumers need to know what's in their product. They need to know what they're feeding their family. I know I was just told by a young lady that she was in a Whole Foods grocery store, and they now say almond juice, not almond milk. You know, that just things like that, so people know, and then consumers can choose. I have no issue with that. You have no issue with that. Let people choose what they want, but let's be honest about what's in a product.
So one of the things that's important for bills to be passed at the federal level and anywhere really is getting bipartisan support, and you've done that. So please speak to that.
Yeah, I was able to get my friend from Nevada, Senator Cortez Masto. She's a Democrat from Nevada to be a co-sponsor. That is important. Bills move faster when you are able to have support on both sides, and so hopefully we're going to have some time in this year as we move into an election to still be able to focus on good legislation like the Real Meat Act.
Good. So what do you kind of talked a little bit, but what do you anticipate the timeline? Because there's a few things going on nationally that everybody's focused on that takes up your time.
I've given up trying to predict. That's pretty difficult at this stage in the game. Of course, I'd like to be able to get this passed, but we need a lot more support to be able to get it done. We're in the first steps now. It's difficult to get standalone bills passed at the federal level, so being able to work across the aisle and get support and hopefully get it attached to another bill, it's possible to get it to move a little faster. So obviously we're focused on it for this year, and going to work hard to get it passed with your help, I hope.
Well, you walked right into my next question.
Good.
What do you need from Nebraska Cattlemen, our members, Nebraskans, anybody around the country that has interest in this and wanting to support it? What can we do for you to help on that level?
I think just in, first of all, just in your day-to-day conversations, when you're visiting with people, and if this issue comes up, I think we need to stress how important this is for the state of Nebraska, because that is my number one motivation, is the economy of the state of Nebraska and the huge impact that agriculture and livestock production have on this state. we need to make sure that our neighbors and friends and communities and family members all across the state understand it, that they don't view this as, oh, this is just something for cattlemen. No, this is for the state of Nebraska. If we're looking to the future and to be able to keep our economy strong, that would be my first ask, is to be able to have people just talk about it and the importance of it as well. And then secondly, if you know people in other states, to be able to visit with our association and members in other states and spread the word so that they can contact their congressmen and senators as well.
Excellent. When you look at this, because it creates a lot of passion, because we see the threat as producers, especially advertising at the national level, and though there are threats that are real and perceived on this, but it's important for those reasons to get it passed. But talking about it is important. So you talked about it, but just lastly, do you have any other points on this that you want us to promote in helping you get this passed?
Just make it a focus. It's a focus of mine. It's one of my priorities moving into this new year. I'm focused on the Real Meat Act, focused on broadband deployment across the state of Nebraska, especially in rural areas. Obviously focused on national security, and those are things I hope that we'll be able to really be able to prioritize and be able to move ahead and get a lot of support and be able to get things done.
And I think that's obvious for the timeline, but our National Association's annual convention is in a month, and this will be a hotly discussed item that we can do nationally to expound upon your plan to try to get out and get other support nationally. So,
yeah. And I like that you're going to be able to do that, and I've gotten support from NCBA on it too. They've been very helpful in Washington, but we need to continue to not make this a fight. I see some of the comments on Twitter or on Facebook from people who have made other choices, and I try not to respond. I don't respond, but I always want to respond and say, I'm not interfering with your choice. I just want consumers to have informed choices, which is what we've heard for years. People want informed choices, and it's not a fight between one side or another. It's not limiting what those choices are for people. Plant-based products are there. We acknowledge that. They will probably grow in demand, but let's just be honest about it. Let's show that this is an imitation in texture and in appearance, and it should be labeled an imitation. That's a requirement now. We want it enforced.
well, to build upon that, to your point, we lessen our standing if we denigrate somebody else. So
Right.
let's promote the positive things that we do, which is the Real Meat Act, and get that done. So I'm going to go off script here, and I know that always makes you uncomfortable. So we got a really important question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite beef cut?
I like a good ribeye, but I love a good hamburger. I love a good burger. With red onion and mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and a little lettuce. No tomato.
Good.
I
Good to
get
know.
really hungry for burgers.
So we do have something that we want to give to you that highlights this, and we want you to have this. So what we have are bumper stickers that we made up, Make Burgers
Good.
Beef Again, and it's got the NC logo in the bottom right, and on the left it's got a fake burger that's titled the Absurd Burger with a line through it. So we want to make sure that you
Leave
have.
it to you, Pete.
Yeah.
Leave it to you. No, this is great.
So thank you very much. It's an honor to have
Thank
you
you.
here. We
Thank
think
you.
the world
Good to
of
see you, my
appreciate
friend.
it. Yeah, thanks.